One of the most traumatic experiences of my life. We were being overworked. I was stressed out. I felt like my road advisors didn't care about our mental health. I got shingles.
Wow.
And I still had to go and sit and watch everybody do corporate exercise because they wouldn't let me rest. They would sit people in the showers and just have water dripping on them, which is that's a real torture technique. And that'll wear people down for sure.
So they're just going to the full extent of you got captured and now I'm going to torture you?
Yeah, it was giving Stanford Prison Experiment. If you give people a little bit of power, they kind of take it overboard.
They were given the power to inflict harm on people.
And they took it. Just a bunch of teenagers running around in the woods, really. You'd think that I murdered someone because everyone had to delete my number. No one was allowed to talk to me for 9 months.
What?
And I was kicked off campus. Again, I had done 12 months of program. And then I was doing a more intensive, living on a bus with 36 other people that I had already done this 12-month program with. And I lost all of them. I call it a persecution kink. There's this need to be persecuted for some reason within these spaces. Because if you can be a martyr, then you've done everything that you can for the kingdom of God and you died the way that you were supposed to. I've made peace with the harms that I caused within the oppressive system of I was preaching on these stage to telling these kids to give their all to Jesus. This is what all means, with the altar call voice. So people can really just lock in. The thing that I'm most nervous about when the documentary released, the people that are going to be collateral, essentially re-traumatized. Your trauma is being bored to the world. People are going to know part of my life. I had closed that chapter.
Mine is the only voice.
Wow. What have I been doing?
Lay down my autonomy.
After that, it got very dark very quickly.
Hey guys, my name is Shalise Ansola, and this is Cults to Consciousness, where we discuss leaving high-demand religions or organizations and finding healing and independence through awareness and true individual sovereignty. If you're only listening and you'd prefer to see our faces, go to YouTube at Cults to Consciousness. The best way to support the podcast is interacting with this post in any way, shape, or form, and obviously it helps our guests feel seen, loved, and validated when you leave those words of encouragement for them in the comments. So today's guest, I was super excited to be connected to her through April. We are talking about the Shiny Happy People 2 documentary that just came out. If this is airing, then the documentary is officially out. We're recording prior to the release, so we're not exactly sure what is going to be on it yet, but we have someone here who was in the documentary, and she's going to be talking about her experience with Teen Mania and her internship there. So thanks so much for joining us, Dani Roca.
Hello. Of course, anytime. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we got connected yesterday. We're recording today. It's super exciting. I'm going to learn all about your story as we go. I don't usually do that, but I think this is going to be fun. So let's start with your early years, childhood years, formative years, kind of give everyone an idea of your background as far as religiosity goes.
I was adopted actually as a baby into a white military family, grew up Christian, and we lived in the Middle East for a couple years. So I grew a very fond respect for other religions and other cultures because I had a class where everyone was first generation something. And so there was a lot of diversity there. However, I kind of existed in a bunch of white spaces as well within evangelicalism. So I feel like there's a lot of behind the curtain things that I feel like I have had to hold on to my entire life just from being a person of color in those spaces. And people have shared things that they wouldn't necessarily tell if they remembered that I was Black. But anyways, that's besides the point. I was homeschooled and I was very involved in youth group and I led worship at my church. And, there's a million, I don't really know how else to describe my childhood. Otherwise, I just grew up in church just like every other kid that grew up in church.
So all that to say, it was very much a huge part of the fabric of your life was church and religion.
Very much.
Yeah, I think that's what we're trying to establish is the context of the devout nature of your family, how intense it was, how often you were at church, if they were extremely strict within the rules, that type of thing.
Yeah, my parents were deeply conservative and we went to church I would say every Sunday, maybe every Wednesday. Not like extremely involved or overly involved like some of the people that I know, like my husband's family, but every part of my kind of upbringing had to do with like the Christian worldview,
Okay.
including being homeschooled. Yeah, every part of that.
Let's talk about your homeschooling a little bit. Was
Mhm.
this due to just being moved around so much? Was it because they didn't want you in the public schools around the worldly kids?
Surprisingly, no. I went to public school when I was in elementary school, and then I was overseas, so I was in a American Department of Defense school. What actually spawned me becoming homeschooled was because I went to a Christian school in 5th grade, and because I was like the ADHD burnout gifted kid, I was not being challenged at all because all we were learning about was the Bible, and I was like falling behind in actual academics. And so I actually begged my parents to homeschool me because all my
Oh
friends were
my
going to be
gosh.
homeschooled. And I was like, please, please, please homeschool me. All my friends are going to be homeschooled and I don't want to go to public school and I don't want to go to Christian school. Please. And so my mom reluctantly actually homeschooled me.
Oh, how funny. Did you have other siblings as well?
Yeah, me and my brother. So he's 2 years younger than me,
Okay.
also adopted.
So your friends were being homeschooled because they were Christian. Was that the reason or other reasons?
Oh yeah, like every kid, almost every kid in my church was homeschooled, and there was a homeschool co-op, which is like a place that, you go twice a week to learn the academics that your parents don't necessarily feel comfortable teaching. So the math, the chemistry, the physics, the language curriculum. This specific one was centered around music. And so in order to go to this school, you had to play an instrument. And if you played an instrument, you had to also do music theory in order to do academics. So it was like you're doing music the entire time. So that was kind of like the bonding factor. But it was definitely a Christian homeschool co-op.
Okay, interesting. So I always have to say that I'm not against homeschooling in general because we've had so many people on this show with a variety of homeschooling experiences. We've had people whose parents purchase the books, teach them nothing, and they basically have zero education, but they're compliant in quotes with the state. And then we have those who have an incredible education because of all the attention they were given. So where do you feel like you fell on that spectrum?
I feel like because I'm a self-starter, I very much taught a lot of things to myself, which was, very helpful for my later years. But I feel like I got a really good education. My parents were very, like, I grew up in Virginia. So we were like in history land and everything was like American history this and like, let's go visit this landmark. And I'm like, oh my gosh, please don't ever make me go do history again. To the point where I will not watch colonial movies because I'm like, I can't, just cannot. No, my parents were actually very intentional on that front. I think there were some things within the curriculums, like the biology and science, like they have a lot of like creationism kind of interwoven into it. But I was that kid that was like, maybe, maybe not. Who's to say? I'll just do my work and follow the curriculum.
Yeah. So they didn't outright make you scribble out evolution in your books?
They didn't make me scribble it out, but they're the parents that are definitely like, if you say a million years, they're like 2,000 years ago. They will correct you to make sure that you know that the earth is not that old or evolution doesn't exist, those types of things. But I was always like, why not both though? Why can't it be both, guys?
Yeah. So you were more of a questioning student and questioning child.
I would say so. Not a I mean, I'm still that way. Like I don't like to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I like to kind of absorb it all and figure out what serves me and what doesn't.
Yeah, that's a great perspective to have for sure. So let's get into your teenage years then. How did Teen Mania or Acquire the Fire even come up in conversation? Were you aware of this? Were you jazzing to go one day?
Yeah, I mean, that was the thing to do with your youth group in the early 2000s specifically. I feel like it was its heyday because the events were probably upward of about 20,000 people depending on where you live, and you have all these bands and these concerts. It was like when punk rock music was like everything, and we're just like, yes, I'm gonna go see these bands, I'm gonna go see these speakers, and we're gonna hang out with like your friends, and it's high energy and we're super excited to do it. And so it was something we looked forward to every single year. I went a bunch of times. I can't remember how many times at this point, it's been so long, but I went probably from age 13 till I graduated.
Okay.
5 years of my life doing that.
So for someone who has absolutely no idea what this event is, can you describe it?
Yeah, so Choir the Fire is a 2-day convention that is chock full of speakers and worship, music, bands. Like, that's the big draw for teenagers to come and grow deeper in their faith and go away feeling charged and ready to change the world. So it was the conference for world changers and kids that wanted to be on fire for God, basically.
At some point, it starts to exploit the kids for their desire to be a warrior for God. So, how does that start to take a dark turn?
Acquire the Fire is like the recruitment arm, if you will. So the the idea that you could be a part of this conference. You see what's happening here, all these kids on their faces giving their hearts to God and just like committing their lives to Jesus and changing the lives of their friends and their families and just like really wanting to make a difference in the world. I feel like that's just something that people innately want to do. They want to make an impact on the world. And so by giving them an opportunity to do that, it feels great. You feel like you're part of something bigger than yourself. And I don't know that I would label it necessarily dark as a dark turn as much as it was kind of a bait and switch in a way. You go in thinking, I'm joining this program so that I can do these events, when really you're joining this program to go live on a campus on 50 plus acres of land in the middle of nowhere, Texas, and you're not doing the events. You might get to go to one, but you're contributing somehow by having a job where they, use you for your labor and you are paying to be there. You're not getting paid to do it. So you're working a regular job while paying to do that job. And the jobs that they had were ranging from call centers, like calling youth pastors to say, hey, are you coming to Acquire the Fire this year? Can we get you some tickets to like for your youth group? And then you have all the way down to like custodial, working in a kitchen. I liked my job. My job was the best.
What was your job?
I ended up being the passport and visa supervisor for like all of the missions department. And so as an intern, you're not supposed to have a supervisor position, but my supervisor left. And so I just kind of fell into this role. So I was just kind of in charge of a bunch of stuff, which I enjoyed. Just the unknown of going to this other program when you think you're going to be just going out and like doing these events is the kicker.
Yeah. So, something that I think it was actually your line in the trailer said you're working 15-hour days. So, let's talk about the actual day to day of an intern for this event.
Yes. So to give that specific comment context, I stayed a second year. And when I was actually traveling around with Acquire the Fire, that's when I was working those 15-hour days. We
Hmm.
had a very rigid schedule, keep you booked and busy, basically. So you wake up 5 a.m. and you're doing corporate exercise with everyone on campus. I think my year we had like 400, 500, maybe 600 people. So we're all out doing corporate exercise for an hour, including running, and it's exercise. So we did that. And then we had breakfast, and then we had to have quiet time for an hour. You're not allowed to fall asleep. Do not fall asleep. Someone will confront you. That was something that they really like to do. We have quiet time. We all go to class for like an hour or two, and then you do your job from, 10 to 5 or whatever. And if you're B shift, then you do your job from 2 to 8 or something like that. We'd have services on one of the nights. We'd have a chapel on one of the days, and we'd have fasting days every other Wednesday. So during lunch, we'd gather together and worship. And other than that, that's kind of the day. But they split us up into groups based on our room, based on our roommate situation. So we called those cores. They're our core. And we'd all have a core advisor. And then we'd have like a family core. So you have a specific group of people that are like supposed to be your people, your group, your family kind of a thing.
What were the dynamics like between all of those kids? You said 400 teenagers
Oh, yeah.
trying to work together. That sounds like a recipe for disaster.
Well, my class was, I think we were labeled the most rebellious class of all the Teen Mania years because it was the biggest class. It was right before the recession. So we just had like everything was booming. And so a lot of people got dismissed, like kicked out, because we have a specific set of rules that we have to follow. There's a handbook that kind of lays it out for you as far as what rules to follow and what rules will get you kicked out if you don't follow them.
Like what? Do you remember?
So we're not allowed to date for a year that we're there, which means anything that goes along with romantic contact is a big no-no. It's automatically, well, that one's pretty much a very automatically dismissible offense. But sometimes they'll, let you go in front of a panel of your peers called an honor council case, where they kind of let you present what happened and then they decide whether you stay or if you're on probation. And we had accountability cards as well that would kind of keep track each week of whether we were reading our Bibles, whether we were looking at porn, whether we did corporate exercise, whether we went to our job on time, if we completed our homework. Every week we were having to fill out these accountability cards. Those were one of the more tedious mechanisms of control, I think.
Yeah. How can you expect kids not to get romantic when you're putting 400 teenagers in the same place and you're all dorming together, right?
Oh, yeah. We had 2 bunk beds stacked 3 high. So there's 6 of us in a room. We each have 1 cubby and 1 drawer and I think a microwave. That's nice. They split us up by gender, and obviously girls are not allowed to go into the boys' dorms except for one night a year when we kind of decorate our rooms and everyone gets to say, hey, look at my room and how it's decorated. Do you like it? I made some snacks. But yeah, I don't know how you expect teenagers to not date. Some people did secretly date, and a lot of us had to break up with our significant others in order to go there. The first night, the gauntlet week is what we call it, that onboard you into this space that you're going to be in for a year.
Wait, a whole year?
It's 12 months. It's not like semesters. It's a full 12 months.
What?
I think you were allowed to leave with permission like 7 or 8 days a year.
And you're not allowed to date? I'm sorry.
You're
It's the
not
teen
allowed
in
to
me that's like, how could you not when you're just, anyway. A quick pause to talk about information control. A huge, huge issue when it comes to cults and high control groups. They want to make sure that they only give you the information that benefits them, which is why we love Ground News, the sponsor for today's video. Ground News is an invaluable resource that we personally use when we are reporting on culty news stories. They make sure to make it extremely easy for you to see the political bias, which direction the story may be leaning, if it is right, left, center, and they even let you know who is funding this publication to give you more of an informed picture. It's really easy to get stuck on one particular algorithm and not see any other side of the story. So this is a really great way to get you out of those manipulative algorithms and see how all of the news outlets around the world are reporting on a story. For example, we were just made aware by our viewers that 2 FLDS teens had just gone missing in Idaho. So while we gathered information, we started at Ground News to see what had already been reported on and if any updates had been made. We can see from the website that 56 sources have already covered the topic, with 79% of them in the center. What I find really interesting are the variances in titles, and you'll see this across multiple different news sources, but it seems like the center titles had a little bit more plain language, while the left and the right-leaning articles had more extreme, catchy titles. One title here, which is left-leaning, used the words cult-like and snatched to be used in a religious prophecy, while the language used in a right-leaning article is children disappeared after religious brainwashing. All of this is certainly useful, and it definitely helps to see how different publications choose to present the information. It's so easy to get swept up in our algorithms and our echo chambers, and so if you really want the full picture to understand what's going on, subscribe to Ground News. You can get 40% off their Vantage plan with our code. It's ground.news/C2C, and you can get that discount there. Again, ground.news/the letter C, the number 2, the letter C, or you can pause the video and scan the QR code on the screen. All of this will be in the description, guys. Thank you so much. Back to our video. Continue.
On one hand, I found it to be very valuable, like a huge learning experience for me. Like when I realized, oh, I can have crushes on people and they go away real fast. What would have happened if I acted on that and tried to date that person?
Uh-huh.
That would have ended poorly, and now they're my friend and I don't have to worry about that. So for me, that was like a very, like, I would say that that was a positive in a lot of ways. The length of which and the rules surrounding it made it more problematic because, you know, how are you supposed to develop a healthy like a healthy relationship with relationships if everything is kind of like, you can't do this?
Mhm.
That whole purity culture movement.
Yeah, and I can understand now that I know that it's 12 months long. Absolutely makes sense for them to lay those ground rules because things could get out of hand real quick with that many teenagers. But I mean, also they're teenagers. You can't totally expect them to just be like, "Okay, all right, I guess I won't."
And some of them didn't. A lot of people got dismissed my year. A lot.
So I interrupted your Gauntlet Week story.
So that first night, we had to break up with our boyfriends or our girlfriends. We weren't allowed to listen to secular music, so people burned their CDs or got rid of everything, every remnants of like worldly stuff so we can focus and set our intention. It was very much like a highly emotional time as well. Like when I look back on it, it's a huge transition to go from like just living at home and then all of a sudden you're living with 6 people and you're kind of going through and doing life with these people and trauma bonding with these people and developing like close relationships within the first week, kind of like a summer camp. Like when you go to summer camp, you feel like, oh my gosh, these are going to be my best friends forever. After the week is done, when we kind of go through the purging process, learning all the ground rules and learning like the schedule and how we're going to be doing things and what the expectations are, then we get our job assignments. And at the end of the week, you're split up from these people that you just spent a week with, and you're put into new rooms with new people. And now you have a new family core all of a sudden. And I think that was really difficult for a lot of people because it was kind of like wait, I was settling in and now I'm like ripped out of this comfort zone that I was in. And it felt like there was always an intentional, let's rip you out of your comfort zone for the sake of growth kind of a thing. And I found that to be pretty harmful. And I think a lot of people had a difficult time with that as well, because that's the thing about Teen Mania and about the Honor Academy, which is what the 12-month program is called. The community there was so intimate and so deep. If you ask any Teen Mania person now what they remember, they will most likely 10 out of 10 say the people that I met there, the relationships that I built there. Like that's something that I remember the most and that I loved the most.
So if this is a year long, at the end of it, is that where the Teen Mania event is, or is it throughout the year, or how does it work? Are you putting on multiple events?
Great question. Teen Mania is the umbrella, right? So they're the ministry, Teen Mania Ministries. Acquire the Fire is the youth conference, which again, it's a recruitment arm into the Honor Academy, which is the 12-month discipleship training program. And then over here, you have Global Expeditions, which is their missions organization. So you have Global Expeditions, Acquire the Fire, Honor Academy. And then they had a Center for Creative Media, which kind of filtered into the Honor Academy. And the Center for Creative Media were the people that wanted to be actors and actresses and get into the film industry. And so they were a part of the Honor Academy, but kind of had their own other thing going on as well. The missionaries would come once a year during the summertime. Acquire the Fires would happen, I think they ran for about 9 months on the East Coast and the West Coast every weekend.
Whoa.
We were going to multiple cities and we had 2 teams that would go out, 2 ministry teams that would put on these events, about 36 second-year interns. So the second-year interns were the ones that would put on the events. It was intense. It was a lot.
Were you part of that second year traveling?
I was a part of the ministry team my second year. We ride on a bus with 36 people.
Whoa.
Yes.
Wait, was it like a bunk bus?
It folded into bunks. Yes. So it wasn't like the typical tour bus kind of a situation, because I don't even know if it's legal to have that many people sleeping on the bus, to be honest.
That's what I was gonna say. Because I've been on a tour bus. I went on tour with Yo Gabba Gabba. Anyone out there have kids? Like, that was me. I did that for, I think, 3 months, and max was maybe 5 people, and that was a lot.
Yeah. I've been on tours with as well, with bands that I've been a part of, and it's like 12 bunks maybe with the little
Yeah.
curtains.
Uh-huh.
But this was not that. This was not that. This was like the seats would fold this way and then fold up into bunks. And then we would share bunks. So it was 2 people per bunk.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So me and my bus buddy, we had big booties and it was really hard for us it was really hard for us to we had to spoon and like turn at the same time so that we wouldn't fall off of our bunk.
Oh, no. How long were you on tour for? Or I guess on tour, would you call it that?
Yeah, I was in charge of the front of house lighting rig and putting all of the things in the air, as well as I was the main character in the drama. So I was Amanda Bright, 18, very involved in youth group. And it was like an hour-long production. It wasn't little skits like most of the years. It was like, we're going to do a full production this time. So it's like 45 minutes at the beginning of the event, and then we're going to end it with an hour. It was full on acting.
Yeah.
Full on a play, basically. So I did that and then went home for Christmas break, came back, and then I got called into the office. And someone had called Teen Mania to tell them that I had kissed someone at the lake in October.
Did you?
I did. I did do that.
Nice.
I kissed him at the lake in October. But like the fact that someone called who doesn't even go to Teen Mania and was like, "Hey, I just need a snitch
Jeez.
on this girl." And that ended up being one of the most, and I don't say this lightly, one of the most traumatic experiences of my life, because I was told on for something very arbitrary. Kissing, didn't even get to second base, didn't even touch any of these. Okay. We were being overworked. I was stressed out. I felt like my road advisors didn't care about our mental health. I got shingles.
Wow.
I had shingles at age 19, and I still had to go and sit and watch everybody do corporate exercise because they wouldn't let me rest because it was a part of the team. And I have to be a part of the team, which means I get up and I sit there if I can't work out, even though I was recommended to rest and to sleep. And so I just needed to escape. And I think I used that. It was like a learned coping mechanism for me. It was like anything that can help me escape a situation where I'm feeling overwhelmed. So I kissed a boy, very arbitrary. But you'd think that I murdered someone because everyone had to delete my number. No one was allowed to talk to me for 9 months.
What?
And I was kicked off campus and I just lost my entire, like, again, I had done 12 months of program. And then I was doing a more intensive, like living on a bus with like 36 other people that I had already done this 12-month program with. I lost all of them, just like that. It was isolating. It was ingrained in us that you broke the rule. You broke the rule, so you suffer the consequences. So I embodied that. And I felt like I took a lot of accountability, but I think I overtook that on because that's really intense. And I didn't realize how intense that was because of the space that we were in. It made sense to me that would happen.
I think that's the problem when you have such extreme consequences for tiny little things. And I've experienced the same thing within Mormonism. So you probably don't know because we just met yesterday or this morning.
Yeah.
I grew up Mormon. So very similar strict rules, purity culture, all of that. And I remember my first kiss being so amazing and dreadful at the same time because I was like, oh my gosh, what have I done? What have I done? And it was just like a little peck and it
Aw.
was so amazing. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, I'm
yeah.
not old enough to be kissing. I'm supposed to be 16 to have my first kiss. And I just like spiraled out of control. And the thing is, when they punish you for stuff like that, I didn't tell anyone right away, so I didn't get punished. But when they punish you for something like that, you internalize it as you're the problem, not I did something wrong. It's I'm wrong.
Right.
I'm bad. I'm this, that, and whatever they're trying to tell you you are. And so that's why it's so harmful to have stuff like that for these kids who are naturally going to want to explore their sexuality. It's a healthy, appropriate behavior for teenagers to have, especially when you're just trying to find some sort of connection and stability and you haven't had that. And it's so frustrating. And I'm sorry you had to deal with that.
Thank you. Yeah. It's like still messes with me.
Man, what was your parents' reaction to it? Did they have a big reaction?
No, they're still in the camp. Well, I won't say they. My mom is still in the camp of, well, you knew the rules. I think this past week I finally got her to understand like the gravity of everything because I think that she was like concerned that I was just like feeding into a narrative when I chose this life and I wanted to be there and that kind of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, well, I lost my best friends, like everybody. Like even to the point where like I stayed around campus because I wanted to like be adjacent, wanted to be close to everyone. And I got a job and I was there and I was staying at this house. And I remember asking the leadership if I could get special permission to hang out with a few of my friends for the Super Bowl. And they said, yeah, they can come. And I had like prepared everything and food and they were going to come hang out for a few hours. And then I got a call that they weren't allowed to come. And it was like the
Oh,
same thing, like a
no.
whiplash, just a whiplash of like emotion. I hadn't seen my best friends in like a month at this point, and then they weren't allowed to come see me,
Yeah.
or they weren't allowed to like hang out with me. And so, yeah, that can be very damaging because now I associate arbitrary things with deep, deep pain,
Yeah.
deep pain.
Oh, I just imagine the excitement of they're coming over, you're doing all the preparations,
Mhm.
and then you get let down hard. And again, you probably took it personally of why am I not worthy enough to spend time with my friends?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because you kissed a boy?
I kissed a boy,
Danny,
and I
this is
liked it.
ridiculous. You liked it, of course. And it's, wow, it's so frustrating that they do that. And also, you said you were 19?
Yeah.
So they are gatekeeping your friends and you're a damn near adult. You are an adult,
Mhm.
19. They're
Yep.
telling you who you can and cannot see.
Yeah, all kinds of things. Told me all kinds of things I can and cannot do.
So they continued to have rules and restrictions on you even though you weren't technically in the program?
I think the only rules and restrictions for me was I was not allowed on campus. Like I couldn't visit. I don't remember if there was like a specific time constraint on that because what ended up happening is I think a year had passed. Yeah, a year later, there was a new team, new ministry team, new advisor, and a few of my team members were on the next team. After everybody graduated, they were allowed to talk to me again. So graduation's in August. So I got dismissed in January. I was allowed to talk to them again, I guess, because they were
Mhm.
no longer there or something of that nature. But I started going like sheepishly to acquire the fires just to kind of be part of the energy and to kind of see people. I think I ended up going to 4 of them that year, and one of them, I met my husband, so we won't cry about it,
Wow.
because he was on the next team, and I ended up going back to Teen Mania to visit campus in the summertime. I went on a 2-week road trip that ended up with me being a part of it again for, like, 2 more years. Um, so
2 more years.
Oh, yeah, 2 more years. I went back. I, like, owned all of my red flags, right? It was all me. I did this. I made all these decisions, which 2 things can be true. I did make those decisions. They were in the rule book. Also problematic. But, yeah, I ended up getting into a group with, like, the school of worship program and all the musicians because 'cause I'm a musician, I'm a singer, so it was nice to kind of write music with everybody during the summertime. It was like we're writing for the next Acquire the Fire, and everybody's super excited about it. It's like we're going to do a musical type thing this time. And one of the characters that was going to be in the drama was the adulterous woman was singing over this girl that was like trying to figure out if she should get an abortion because her boyfriend got her pregnant at age 16. The typical like trope that
The
that we
typical drama.
the typical drama that
Jeez.
happens, like what are we to do? And so I think initially they had kind of had this idea that these Bible characters were gonna sing over these like current modern day characters. It sounds silly because I actually don't know the concept. I just kind of was writing music for it. So it's like a funny game of telephone. at this point. But what I remember is my friend Liz wrote this song for the adulterous woman. And then they kind of weren't using most of the songs, and she left, and Acquire the Fire was coming up in like a week, and they still hadn't done like the music video. They still didn't have the character. So I walked in and I was like, I'm going to do this song. Let's do this. I'm going to be the adulterous woman.
Just owning that title for yourself.
I owned it. I'm like, I kissed a boy. I'm an adulterous woman.
Jeez.
And so I did. And I did the music video, and it will forever live in infamy. 'Cause,
I need to see this.
yeah, it's on the internet, and I think it's in the documentary. I think, yeah, it was a crazy time. Me on a big screen, every single event, just singing over this girl. But I was also the worship leader for that event, so I was the adulterous woman and the worship leader. And I think they touched on this in the documentary, I think. But there was a man that came up to me at one of the events, and he was like, "Were you the girl in the music video?" I was like, "Yeah, I was." And he's just like, "I feel like you stole something from my son." I was like, "What? What are you talking about?" Like, that was like, ugh, scary, because all of a sudden I was
Yeah.
like a bad person again. Like, I had done all this work to like redeem myself or whatever. And I was doing all these things, and then it just was like, you are a, seductive temptress, adulterous woman, stealing things from teenage boys. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Wait, was this the dad of the guy that you kissed?
No. This is just
Oh,
some
well then,
dad. Just some
well,
dad at an event that walked up to me.
then what was he talking about?
The music video, at the event, at Acquire the Fire, he saw the music video, and then just
Uh-huh.
told me that I was responsible for stealing something from his son.
I don't this does not even make any sense.
I
Just
know.
because you were portraying something as an
Yeah.
actress?
Uh-huh.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. So that messed with me
Weird.
for sure. That messed with me for sure, because I think growing up, like, being a curvier girl, like, in my teenage years and in the homeschool world and in my church, I was labeled as such, right? I was labeled by one of my ex-boyfriend's moms as a seductive temptress.
What?
Yeah. I didn't even have sex in high school. Like, I didn't like, I don't know, I was just perceived in that way, so
You were just beautiful. What do
I
you
guess.
do?
What do you do when you're
What do you do?
beautiful?
Wow. So I'm trying to put a finger on this. I know when I watch the documentary, things will probably click into place. But when I'm hearing Teen Mania, I'm thinking, okay, you send your kid from, I don't know, maybe 13 to 16 to go do this thing, but you're 19, 20, 21, and you're still a part of this?
So the 12-month program is for 18-year-olds.
Oh,
Yes, so the Choir of the Fire is for 13, like, the events. That's why I tried to, like, explain the umbrella, right?
yeah.
The Choir of the Fire is for youth groups, for
Yeah.
teenagers, to get them excited about Jesus and going into the world, and they use that to also funnel into the missions, which is for teenagers and youth groups, which then, if you are around, 18, if you've graduated, some were 17, but, I think it's like 18 to, we had one guy that was 28, I think, but there's a range of typically 18, 19, 20 for the first year, funnel into the Honor Academy. And the Honor Academy is really the thing, I think.
Okay. It's becoming clear.
Mhm.
So it's basically a way to get the youth to put on these enormous events for the smaller youth, kind of in lieu of going to college, but to keep you in line and doing churchy things for Jesus.
Yeah, it's supposed to be your gap year, if that makes sense, right? It was designed as a 1-year program. It probably would have felt less, I mean, there was a lot of problematic things, but I think, like, the longer you stay, the more problematic it becomes, right? Because you're in that environment for so long. Because I have a lot of friends that had just, like, nothing but good things to say about that year. But as the people have stayed longer, they're like, and there's this. But yeah, it's supposed to be your gap year to prepare you, to ground you in your faith, and to make you strong enough to withstand the temptations of the world, of, the college professors that are trying to indoctrinate you, and all those different things, those nice little things.
And you stuck around.
I did.
So you stuck around. So how did you meet your husband?
So I was engaged to this guy, and we took his youth group to Acquire the Fire. And at that Acquire the Fire, I met my husband.
Whoops. Uh-huh.
And he's a goob, and he was just like, "Oh, you guys are Teen Mania people. You're a worship leader." And so he looked at my fiance. He's like, "Do you want to do the altar call?" And I was like, "What? Why are you gonna?" No, he can't do the altar call. He's not like an Acquire the Fire person. And also, like, we're doing naughty things. He can't be a part of changing the next generation when he's doing naughty things. And so I was like, "You're not doing that." And we almost broke up actually at that event, because he's like, "You want to steal the spotlight, and you don't care about me, and you don't support me." Patriarchy, misogyny, all that kind of stuff. And I was just like, "This is my turf. How dare you?" Like, get out of here.
Yeah.
So I remembered my husband's name is Joel, from that kind of encounter of like, oh, he was that guy that was like, trying to get him to do the altar call. And at the next event after I had broken up with that guy, we were pushing like some cases to like do loadout, and my husband looked at me and was just like, "Huh, you're beautiful." And I was like, "Oh, well, thank you. Thank you very much." I was like, "Oh my gosh, this guy thinks I'm pretty."
Uh-huh.
But I ended up having a dream about him that night, that he like proposed to me with a scavenger hunt and all this random stuff. And I was like, "Nope, I can't date men. Not now." That's
Uh-huh.
crazy. Turns out I never told him about that. And then 2 years later, he did propose to me with a scavenger hunt, which was crazy. But I know. He's a cool dude. I really like him a lot. So
How old are you when you guys met?
21.
21.
We were 21.
Wow.
And then we got married at 23 and had our first kid at 24.
Wow.
Yes, indeed.
That's so cool.
Mhm.
So how long were you involved with the Teen Mania then?
So 2006 to 2011, with a gap year in between from being dismissed for kissing a boy.
Right. That's a long time.
It
So you
is.
mentioned that over time you start to see the problematic issues, the things
Mhm.
going on behind the scenes. What are some of those things that you can speak to from your own personal experience?
Yeah, I think for me, it was a lack of feeling protected. We could get into the big things, like, I feel like it's overused. Like, we did these life transforming events, and people are probably focus on that the most when they talk about the documentary or whatever. So I'll kind of like, I might briefly touch on those. But I think for me personally, when I was like the band manager for my band, or the logistical coordinator, we would travel from, alongside the Choir the Fire events, not in a bus, in a van. And there were just things that were like, our first event, they didn't have a hotel or a host home for us. So we slept in the van, and they wouldn't get us a hotel. Right. So I'm sleeping in a van in a parking lot as a 21-year-old, because nobody wanted to get us a hotel. We did a 1-day event in San Diego where we drove 24 hours from Texas to San Diego and did the event and had to drive right back. They wouldn't get us a hotel. Like, there was a lot of like really just
What?
not wanting to get us hotels. Like, they had all this money to like pay speakers and like, the VIP treatment to people. We were getting offerings and all this different stuff, but they couldn't afford to put us up in a hotel for a night so that we could get ample rest, so we didn't like get into a car crash.
Yeah.
I feel like that's like the biggest thing for me as far as safety was concerned, is that when we were on the road, we were having to get our parents to pay for like getting new tires, because we're driving in like snow and ice and the tread was gone. And I would call, and he's like, "I checked the tires before we left and everything is fine." I was like, "I'm doing the penny test. There's no tread on those tires." And at one point we had gotten into an accident. The trailer had like spun off the road and smashed a window, and we were kind of stuck in Iowa for 3 days. And it was just one of those situations where we had to get a hotel and we were stuck. There was like a 400-car pileup outside and a blizzard. And it was like, when can you get back here? When can you get back here? It's like, we can't leave right now. You need to get back to campus, come back to campus. It's like, we can't leave. So they were wanting us to like kind of take these extreme measures to go nowhere, really. It's just a matter of money. Stuff like that, I think, sticks out the most for me because I stayed so long. All the stuff from like my first year, we got a per diem when we were on the road. It was $5 a day.
No, it wasn't.
$5 a
You
day.
can't even buy McDonald's
I
3
know.
meals a day for that.
I know. So like looking back, you're like, oh, that's not very much money to get like food. So people were like pooling their money together to like go to Walmart to get like a jug of milk and cereal or donuts from Dunkin' or like we would stop and get fast food every now and again, but it's like you have $5 and we're not making money. We're paying to be there.
Yeah.
So it'd be different if we were just making money, but
Yeah.
we're working hard and not making any money.
I was going to ask you how much you had to pay to be there.
Oh, I can't remember. I think it was $20,000 for the year. I think.
What?
I think. I could be don't quote me on that.
But still, it's not like 1,000 or 5,000. You're thinking it was 20 per year?
Yeah. So the first year, I think and you could get financially dismissed too. I don't know if I said that. You could get dismissed for not paying. And there are people that got kicked out right before graduation. Like we were about to walk and they're like, sorry, you didn't pay all your money, so you don't get to graduate after 12 months.
They're structuring it like actual college, but are you getting any sort of advanced education or?
Some might say we were. I want to say there was an option. I think they partnered with, and each year was different. And that's why like I'm hesitant to say a lot of things because my year was different than people 5 years before me or like years after me. Because I think there was an option to get college credit, but that was through like the community college. And I think it was for second year. You couldn't get college credit your first year. So the classes that we had were character development. That was taught by Ron Luce. And then we had the spiritual leader within. And that was taught by Dave. Biblical foundations. We had a vision class, which was to help us develop a plan of action to achieve our calling. They split us up into womanhood and family and manhood and family. We had our little kind of, this is how we operate as women or men. We had chapel, and then we had, oh, look, you could take the SAT while you're at the Honor Academy, so you can go to college.
Okay, so basically ecclesiastical classes.
Yeah.
That you graduate from. Was it seen as a high honor to have a, quote, degree from Teen Mania?
I think some people find it to be so.
Okay, I'm trying to gauge how important it is in that world of, well, I guess the world that you are a part of, that specific denomination.
Because we came from such a wide array of backgrounds and experiences, I think to some people it was everything. I really do. And I think to other people it was just kind of a drop in the bucket of like, okay, I've done that and I'm moving on with my life. And to other people it was, neither here nor there.
And your husband was a part of it then too, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What was his experience like? I mean, you don't have to tell his story, of course. Whatever you think he would be comfortable sharing.
No, I think whenever we kind of talk about it, because he was a straight white male, I think his experience was fine. It was fine. Like he doesn't find anything particularly, aside from like, the extreme rules and all the stuff that we had to follow. He kind of fell into the system, and it was actually a reprieve for him because he came from the Bible Missionary Church, and so it was much more strict. So moving into the Honor Academy felt like freedom to him, right? And so really, it's like I always say, like it only takes 1 0-degree day to make you feel like 20 degrees is warm. Yeah, once you've been some place that's really, really intense, something that's like less intense than that, but still intense, feels great.
Right. So how does he feel about you doing this documentary then? Exposing maybe from new perspectives. How does he feel about you talking about this?
No, I think he's very much in my corner. He's very proud of me. He knows my story. He knows just the way that I have talked about it, and even the lens of which I have approached it, because I approached it from a very academic, kind of systemic lens, and less of like I'm so angry, I want to expose the world type of a thing. Like, it was very much like, how does this like, how can I build a bridge so people understand? Because that's kind of like how I approach the world. So he's been very supportive and fielding a lot of comments for me, and having good conversations with people on my behalf and protecting me from some of the discourse.
Sure.
So Teen Mania had these things called LTEs, or life transforming events, and they were these weekend events that would happen kind of sporadically throughout the year, blackout weekends, and they were meant to transform us and to help us grow even further and stretch ourselves to the nth degree. And so one of the more infamous ones is called ESOL, Emotionally Stretching Opportunity of a Lifetime. And it was a 90-hour simulated Navy SEAL Hell Week training. So we were out in the woods, we were doing exercises, we were wearing helmets, we were reduced to numbers, we didn't have names anymore, carried crosses, and did various things, no sleep cycles, rolling down the hill. I think we had to have a specific amount of sleep, but it felt like we were just exhausted and not sleeping at all. Fear factor challenges, platoons, people yelling at us the whole time, mud, dirt, trees, woods. And it was an emotionally stretching opportunity of a lifetime that scarred a lot of people, and some people loved it. And but that was one of the main ones that people like to touch on. And that was just one weekend out of the 12 months. And they had another one that was the Unreached People group, where they split us up into missionaries and tribespeople, because I was a tribes person. My experience was different than the missionaries. I feel like the missionaries actually had a more traumatizing experience during that one, because they had to like go through the government, and like some of them got captured, and like, this kind of like they're trying to go and into the 1040 window and preach the gospel in our, role play LARPing. It was Christian LARPing is what we were doing. And so we're tribes people. We had to make our own languages and our own customs and kind of just wait for the missionaries to come. And then I guess we end up getting converted because they were so compelling. But I didn't want any part in that one because I didn't like that we had to like do the language. So I bought a curtain at Walmart and I wrapped it around myself and I put like dark eyeliner on. And I was like, I'm a demon possessed lady. Don't talk to me for 3 days.
That was your LARPing?
My LARPing was I just ran around, grunted at people, and threw grass. And it was amazing. So I told them in the documentary, I said, like, the people that had a good experience were people that could gamify the system. Like, if you could have fun and just kind of like not take it too seriously, you had a better time than other people that were like not having fun with it. So there was that one. And then my year was a guinea pig year for this LTE, which was called the World Awareness LTE. And we basically went to go kind of talk about the ethical ramifications of certain situations in the world. Like we watched movies in the auditorium and they would kind of like pause the movie and say, well, what would happen if, like, can you lie if you're smuggling Bibles into a country? Is it ethical to lie? Like those types of things. It was probably the closest to like critical thinking, philosophical conversations that we probably ever got that was allowing for more nuance. So we watched like Hotel Rwanda, I think was the first one. And so when it came to the end of it, we noticed all of these people dressed in camo walked in with paintball guns and flags. And we were kind of like, what is happening? Because we were watching movies. Like we were told we were watching a movie. And then they started like yelling gibberish. We won't get into the racism of it all. Because I'm like, what are you trying to simulate exactly? Like it felt a little off, but basically telling us to bow to the flag. And of course, it's like I call it a persecution kink. Like there's this need to like be persecuted for some reason within these spaces. It's like you have to like, you're the most honorable if you are persecuted. And that's like the highest honor. Because if you can be a martyr, then you've done everything that you can for the kingdom of God and you died the way that you were supposed to. So everyone's like, no, we will never bow to your flag. And then they opened the doors and they said, run. And we're just like, what? And then we were just in the woods again. There was like so many times we were in the woods randomly for days in the woods. And I think the whole thing was like we were hiding from a government and we were trying not to get caught. Some people were very traumatized by that one. I got lost in the woods with the boy, so I was having the time of my life. I was like, oh no, that stick. Can you help me over this stick? It's so tall. I just need to. But
they didn't ever shoot you guys with the paintball guns, did they?
Oh yeah, we got shot with paintball guns. They used like real life torture techniques. Like
Ouch.
they had people like in the like the prison. The prison was like the bathrooms in the longhouses, out in the woods, kind of where the summer camp stuff are. So it's like dormitory style bathroom, but they would like sit people in the showers and just have water dripping on them, which is that's a real torture technique, and that'll wear people down for sure.
Why would they do that?
Because that was the whole thing in the World Awareness LT. We're trying not to get captured.
So they're just going to the full extent of you got captured people. And now I'm going to torture you?
Yeah. Like it's very much like it was giving Stanford Prison Experiment. Like if you give people a little bit of power, like they kind of take it overboard. And that's another thing within the discourse that I'm finding. It's like, or finding is that people are like, well, they didn't do it all like right, but like people hurt people. It was just the people. I'm like, do you think that systems exist without people? Why is this a good excuse? Like, why are we excusing the fact that people were allowed to do this? Yeah. Because people hurt people. I'll never understand that argument, to be honest.
Yeah, they were given the power to
and they took it.
Enact harm on people, inflict harm on people.
Because there was no like blanket, like this is how you lead well. I mean, they tried, but like you're still putting a bunch of like 19-year-olds in charge of each other.
So the 19-year-olds are the ones pretending to be the government. It's not even adults.
Right. So everything kind of like there's a hierarchy system within Teen Mania that I realized I also didn't touch on. So it's like upper leadership, the more executive branch, right? You have Ron, who's the visionary, and Dave and Heath, who were like the implementers of the Honor Academy. Then you have like your managers and supervisors. They were all adults, the managers. Then the supervisors were like a year older than you, basically. So once you get to the supervisor level, you have like 19-year-olds being supervisors and some managers too. And then you have your core advisor had just done the program a year before you. So they're in charge of your core. They're in charge of your core group and they're doing the Bible studies and leading you. And you put these people on a pedestal, not realizing they're literally your age. And then you have like an assistant core advisor, which is someone in your room to hold you accountable and to like be the leadership within your room. Yeah, so everyone that was kind of facilitating these events tended to be second-year interns, and they had just done the program a year before you. Just a bunch of teenagers running around in the woods, really.
Torturing each other
and shooting each other with paintballs, setting things on fire, and getting persecuted for Jesus, trying to escape the country. But like I said, it's fun if you can gamify it. If you're just like, but I will say, as far as apocalyptic things go, I look back at that time and I'm like, if everything just like went down, I feel like I could just handle it. Like I could go be in the woods.
You feel prepared?
I feel prepared to just like all of a sudden be in the woods. Because I was like, again, the bait and switch. It was like constant just whiplash of like pulling you out of your environment that you were comfortable with and that you knew was like stable. And then all of a sudden you're in the woods again.
I just have to say, for anyone who's not been hit by a paintball, it hurts.
Oh
they leave welts.
Yes, they do. They really do. The last one was the fasting LTE. And that was 3 days of no eating or talking. So We didn't eat or talk, but we did read our Bibles and we prayed a lot. And it was just a silent campus, everyone wandering around, not talking to each other.
Probably zombified from no nutrition.
That's true. The best feeling was when you could put that crystal light into your water. You're like, I think I just discovered heaven.
Crystal light.
Crystal light lemonade.
I remember
you're like,
that.
You're like,
Yeah.
this is not water. This is everything that I've got.
Yeah, you need those electrolytes. We're not eating food.
Yeah. So, just stuff like that. That one was like, we weren't in the woods, so it's fine.
It's not fine. Dani, it's not fine.
Like I said, it only takes 1 0-degree day to make you feel like 20 degrees is warm. No, I'm not saying it's fine. I'm saying it wasn't like particularly like malicious feeling. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
In
It was
comparison.
just less torturous
Yes,
than the
in
woods, but it
comparison
was
to the other
still
ones.
torture.
Yes.
Yeah, that you're paying for.
That you're paying to do. So that's the other thing is like, because we chose it, because we paid to do it, there's this like idea that we're responsible for whatever consequences we suffer. And like, well, like as I'm fielding things on TikTok, it's like people saying, well, you knew it was extreme. You knew what you were getting into. So I don't know why you're
Did you
complaining.
though?
I'm like, I had no
It's
idea
not-
what I was getting into. It
Yeah.
doesn't even, it's like not even written in the handbook when it talks about the LTEs. It does not, like, this is what it says about ESOL. ESOL is an optional LTE designed to stretch interns physically and emotionally. Interns routinely select ESOL as the most popular and productive LTE. Being stretched through simple repetition allows interns to confront potential problem areas in their lives and often go undetected. The Honor Academy staff works intensely with interns during this LTE to ensure that the interns take full advantage of this unique learning opportunity.
Yeah, that's not informed consent.
Like, at what point does it say you are going to be in a militarized, like, platoon boot camp, and you're gonna, like, even the idea that it's optional, sure, optional, but like social norms dictate that it is not.
Mm-hmm.
It is not optional because you get shamed if you don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think to this day, like, I feel immense regret because one of my friends was opting out of doing it. And me and our like friend group was like, no, man, you have to do it. You have to do it. Like, just try it. He had sickle cell anemia. Like, he should not at all have been allowed to participate in something so rigorous. And he ended up in the hospital because they started us out, like, our first like 6 hours was sleeping on the floor of a really, really cold room.
Yeah, that's awful. That's Well, I'm glad we decided to talk about this.
Me too, because I feel like that's like the most, like, those are the things that people talk about the most. And
yeah,
I think the other one is like the celebration LTE, which was fun because it was just the Olympics. We got split into teams, got to like do track and sports events, and it was the end of the year and it was summertime and, just team bonding stuff. I'm interested to see what happens when the documentary comes out. And
how did you get involved with the documentary?
That's a great question. I have no idea how it happened. It was one of those things, like, I kid you not, I watched Shiny Happy People, the first season, and I said it out loud. I was like, someone has to make a documentary about Teen Mania just like this. This was really well done and nuanced and not like the first Teen Mania documentary that was like 45 minutes long and like extremely biased and didn't really give a whole picture of like the ministry as a whole. And so I was just like, someone needs to do this. And then 4 months later, someone just kept reaching out to me like, hey, we'd like to talk to you. Hello, we'd like to talk to you. And I was like, who is this random person that is reaching out to me on every social media platform? They were like, can you chat about your time at Team Mania? I was like, okay. And they're like, can you sign this NDA, please? And I was like, what?
Yeah.
So I signed it. And then they're like, okay, so this is for Shiny Happy People too. And I was like, oh, I see. Did I manifest this? Because I said it out
How
loud.
did they know to find you? Were you already being vocal about it?
Kind of, yeah. I think when Shiny Happy People came out, I had made a few TikTok videos about my thoughts on it, but it was like silly. Like, I'm as you could probably tell, I'm a little like, I'm serious, but I'm like super silly. And And so I think like when I saw the first documentary, I was like, I got on and I was like, we gonna get persecuted. We gonna run around in the woods. We gonna be doing this. We gonna feel this way. And I was just like naming these random out of pocket experiences that I had, but just like in succession with no context. I was like, and that was my time at Teen Mania.
Yeah,
So I think because I'm hilarious, they were like, we need this girl to just really make it pop.
that's awesome. How funny. Isn't it great that you can just put something out for the world to see and then all these opportunities can come from it?
I feel honored to have been chosen, I think because I do represent such a huge time frame at Teen Mania, and so I feel like I'm representing a very, like, vast amount of people, if that makes sense. So there's a lot of pressure in that, but also, like, I feel like I did them well, you know?
Mhm.
Did right by them, but also, like, was able to share my own experience as well as, like, talk about how 2 things can be true. Things can be
Mhm.
hard and harmful. And also you could have a great experience within that system. So,
Yeah. Have you stayed in contact with your besties?
interesting question. Yes and no. I feel like it's been what, 18 years? It's been 18 years since I turned 18 and now I'm an adult. And I'm finally like learning to think for myself and find my identity. And I think the thing about Teen Mania that will always be there is if you meet a Teen Mania person, you automatically kind of you're with them. Like they get a part of your life that people can't understand. Like you can't condense 12 months of intensity into like one single conversation. So when we left Teen Mania, like I feel like a bunch of us all moved to Houston at the same time and we stayed like led worship at the same churches and we kind of stayed in this like bubble for probably 10 years or so. So I still have some of those people, but it's become less and less over time, I think, especially since 2020 when I got off of Facebook and kind of just took a break from the madness of the internet.
Okay. Have you deconstructed any of the beliefs or way of life that you so valiantly upheld when you were in Teen Mania?
Yeah, I feel like I've always kind of been deconstructed in a way. I like to use the word decolonized, I think, because I had to decolonize a lot of my experience, which is very different than, deconstructing my beliefs. Because, like I said before, like, I kinda grew up with this, like, understanding of, like, holding space for other religions and, like, didn't really there were times that I definitely bought in, but I think that because I was also, like, the resident secret keeper, like, the people that were gay would tell me that they're gay. If they're sleeping with someone, they're telling me they're sleeping with someone. If they're drinking alcohol, they would tell me that they're drinking alcohol. So I was always holding kind of that space for people, and I wasn't no snitch. So as far as the beliefs go, I've always been kind of just like open, if that makes sense. So I've made peace with like the harms that I caused within the oppressive system of like, you know, I was preaching on these stage to like telling these kids to like give their all to Jesus. This is what all means, you know, with the altar call voice. Get real quiet so people can really just lock in. It's just been so long. I can't remember, you know? It's very
Yeah.
interesting. It's very interesting.
So where are you at now then? What makes you happy and at peace? What brings you joy today?
Today, specifically, wind.
Today.
A breezy day brings me joy, and I'm not even kidding. Walking and seeing a waterfall, outside, nature, all of that kind of stuff. Music, writing music brings me joy, performing, playing, all that kind of stuff, and swimming in the pool. What brings you joy today?
What brings me joy?
Yeah,
No one
what
ever
brings
asks
you?
me
What
that.
brings you joy today?
Being here with you today, Dani, has
Oh,
been a joy. You are definitely fun to talk to. Aside from this fabulous interview, my sweet little girl, who's actually it's today, 16 months today, She's hilarious and
Aw.
a little spitfire, and she knows what she wants, and she tells us
Love
very
that.
intensely and passionately what she wants. She's the best. And my husband, of course, he brings me so much joy. Husband and co-producer of C to C. If you know, you know.
Aw, I love
Um,
that.
yeah, yeah, it's a good life. But let's talk about you, though.
I should go back on record and say my kids also bring me joy, and I love them so
Yeah.
much. And also my husband, I love him so much. Just remember that.
Yes,
I
just
love
throw
my
that in there.
children and my husband, not just the wind. Okay.
Not just the wind. Okay, so to wrap this up then, what are you nervous about for when this documentary is released?
I think the thing that I'm most nervous about when the documentary released, number one, I haven't seen it yet. So that makes me a little bit nervous. I feel like at peace with everything that I have like done as far as like being a part of it. I think the thing that makes me the most nervous is the people that are going to be collateral. I think within that space, because I've had some conversations with people that are being essentially re-traumatized in a lot of ways because we haven't thought about this in a long time, and it feels kind of like your trauma is being poured to the world
Yeah.
and you didn't really give consent to that. It was like now all of a sudden that people are going to know part of my life that I didn't I had closed that chapter, right? And so it's bringing up a lot for people and I feel like I feel like I'm somehow the villain. I think that is a concern of mine as well because after reading some of the discourse, people are disappointed that it's so biased and one-sided and I'm like, we haven't seen it yet. I feel like we can't really cast judgment if we haven't seen it.
Mhm.
Ron loses kids. I think about them having to kind of deal with the aftermath of all of this and not just Ron's kids, like anyone that was in leadership, their kids that had nothing to do with the internship, but still have to like dredge through the mud again. As well as victims of like severe abuses and not just the people that were in the trenches, if that makes sense. I feel like that's going to be really difficult. So those are kind of my main concerns is that people are going to be harmed again or feel
Mhm.
harmed somehow by bringing all of it up. But I hope that I did right by them, by those people.
Well, and with all of that in mind, why do you think it's important to shed light on Teen Mania?
I think there is a common misconception that when something is doing good, that it can't do harm. And by shedding light on the harms and the mechanisms of control that exploited so many of us, I think it has a potential of shedding light on people making choices in the future to send their kids to places like this. I don't even know if places like this exist anymore, but to just become a little bit more nuanced. Yeah, I feel like it's very important to understand that 10 things can be true at the same time. I feel like everything is so polarized right now, and we're only getting further and further into our bubbles. And I'm hoping it bursts a little bit of bubbles to allow people to have better discourse instead of kind of programming an us versus them mentality.
I think it's so important. That's probably the theme of this conversation is two things or many things can be true at once. And that's basically the theme of our entire channel, right? People see the Amish and they're like, "Oh, but they make amazing food. Oh, but they're such kind people." And you have no idea the atrocities going on behind the scenes in most cases. I won't say all cases, in most cases. And it's important to shed light on those things that no one's willing to talk about because awareness is key. We need to be aware and understand what these people may or may not be going through. Help them get out if that's what they're choosing to do. Help people understand how to better communicate with those who are leaving high control groups because if all we ever see are the good things, even with Mormonism as a huge example. Mainstream Mormonism, people, oh, well, they donate millions of dollars to charity. Okay, well, they have 300 billion in the bank. I feel like they could make a little bit more of a contribution. Oh, but they're also hiding sex abuse cases purposely because they don't want their name to be tarnished. The lawyers are calling the bishops and saying, don't report this to law enforcement. And there are loving, extremely amazing, great people within the church. So yes, and there's space for both, and there's room to have all of the conversations. We can talk about all of the good that is going on, and we can shed light on the things that need to be said, because we can't build a better, healthier environment if we don't understand where it's going wrong and why it's going wrong. So that's why we focus on the dark underbelly of things on our channel, because there are plenty of other faith promoting podcasts out there talking about the good, and now we need to help people understand how to build a healthier environment for those communities, because we're not anti-religion, we're anti-abuse, anti-manipulation, and anti-control. So it's been so great talking with you today. Thank you for coming on and being willing to just spontaneously record and share your story with us.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah. So there's something that I forgot to tell you that we do. It's called a Linda Listen moment. Do you know the video with the toddler from like 2017 where he's like, Linda, listen, Linda?
Linda,
You
Linda.
know. You
Yes, I
know.
do. Oh, I
So
know.
we have a segment called Linda Listen where you can say something to that figure who has pissed you off and you're standing your ground, or some people don't feel sassy anymore about their cult and they just want to say something directly to the viewers. It's up to you.
Friends that were involved in Teen Mania in the many various years, I hope that when you see this documentary, no matter what your experience, no matter what you went through, that you are able to hold space for those who had a different one than yours and have grace for those people and not go on the defensive and attack people that just are actually scarred by the experience. And for those of you that were scarred by this experience, like, take time for yourself and don't watch it if it's too much, and get off the internet for a few days and take a break. And it's okay to protect yourself, and it's okay to close that chapter, and it's okay to move forward, because I know it's hard.
That was perfect. You nailed it. Well, how can people find and support you? Give us your Instagram @
Oh, my Instagram @ is Dani Roca Music. I don't know why I said it like that. Dani Roca Music
I kind of
on
liked
the
it.
internet.
And do you have a website, or is that your main platform is Instagram where you're sharing your stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on TikTok, mostly Dani Roca Music. I mean, Dani Roca, if you type my name into Google, I'm the first 3 pages. It's hard to not find me, to be honest, because there's not very many people with my name, which is kind of daunting and also kind of fun and helpful.
Same.
But yeah, Dani Roca Music or The World in Lights. Me and my husband have a little band. We're cute.
Oh, that's
I know.
awesome.
I know. We're just so cute. Just
Super cute.
just living the dream, singing duets and stuff.
Oh, well, I'm excited to go check it out. So, any other final thoughts before we go? This has been great.
I am mentally preparing and finding all my coping strategies,
Okay.
for everything.
Gearing up.
Yeah. Calm before the storm is what it
Gearing up.
feels like.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here, Dani.
Of course. Anytime that you want us to
Awesome.
just like be on the internet together. Let's do it.
Let's do it again. So, guys, thanks so much for watching. Leave those words of encouragement down below for Dani. It means so much to us and to our guests. Boost the algorithm, even if it's just an emoji. We appreciate you. We love you for being here. And if you want to support the podcast further, you can become a patron at patreon.com/cults2consciousness. We have some merch at cults2consciousness.com. And I think there's like 5 days left to book Mexico. If you guys are interested in going to Mexico with us at the end of October, link is in the description. If you like this video, I will link 2 more down here below. We have a few more videos coming out about shiny, happy people too, so stay tuned. And until next time, follow your highest excitement, because